It is sometimes very strange to see videos like this put out into the mainstream media, but I believe, from a karmic perspective, that there is a very specific reason to why it is done, in my opinion. For one, what does this video say to you? It reveals, or at least has to reveal at some level, an objective moral truth. That the people are being led astray, conformist, uncritical, naive, ignorant, misled, and codependent to the state, guided down a path with the Judas sheep in front. That the people are not being sovereign, observant, or self-reliant of what could be their own judgment of what is happening in the world, no independence, and no self-reflection. This video clip is that of making a public mockery. It is mocking people who have made a certain choice because that choice was a bad choice, because that choice in which was made by them represents the use of negative characteristics to make that choice, in which you should not want to have. No virtue is found through conformity by being uncritical, naive, ignorant, and easily misled. By doing cryptic symbolism of this kind, the entities and bodies behind this which have led the many astray for the development of their own future ideology can in one way dodge the spiritual responsibility of karmic retribution for the sake of rebound and to put it onto the individual, because the enemy is putting their own sins on show by saying, look, you're a bunch of idiots. How could you accept this mockery as your own living reality? How could you be so stupid and immoral to giving away your own dignity and individual value by listening to us and by doing what we tell you to do without any hesitation? They are fundamentally showing you that your reaction of buying this all up is wrong and immoral for your own sake. But if the public do not make correct judgment of these demands made upon them which have been pushed onto them, and instead live within an eternal veil of mire and illusion towards such demands, mandates, and public blackmail, then they take on the karmic responsibility, for they are either in mire or illusion towards it, or allowing it into their lives by having no principle to stand one's ground and to judge what needs to be judged correctly. Many have allowed, thus, the state to become their god. And this follows on with it being, in some sense, generational, as you have the idea of generational karma, because your children will suffer in this material world from the consequences of living in illusional maya, by not facing the truth of what is actually being done to the worldwide public, in the same way as in which people have described that the freedoms in which you have, your children will not have. They will instead have freedoms, legal freedoms in which will be given to them depending on whether they have done a certain action or not. If they have regulated themselves within the society which only gives freedom to people who have accepted forms of regulation for themselves. For what else does this video symbolize? But this is one example of many in how I see the avoidance and redirection of karmic retribution is acted out, because there is always some kind of revealing of truth in either cryptic or obvious symbolic form for all the world to see. If they wish to see it, of course. But one's own sins against human virtues becomes the signifier to who truly ends up attaining the worldly powers of today. For this is why we say it is always hidden in plain sight.